His name is so much bigger than who he is. You might even be sitting in a David Small design. We have David Small here.
Buildings should be respectful of their site, their neighborhood, the earth. And the best way to be respectful of that is to make a building that seems as though you watered the ground and it grew. Take buildings and land and smash them together in the most powerful possible way. That moment of discovery is a powerful thing. I mean, you all experienced it today.
Get your notepads out. Two things.
Do you have any big goals for David Small Designs in the next 5 to 10 years?
Ooh. All right. Oh,
amazing.
We're about to start.
Excited.
We got Rebecca over here that nobody can see. You're like my emotional support worker too right now. I'm like, Rebecca, can I get a hand before I start this? I'm kidding. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Keeping It Fresh. We are on episode 15, and we have listeners now from over 10 countries, 50 cities. And today we have a very, very special episode. We are we have David Small here. And of course you would be here because this is actually his house. We are sitting in the last house, and I walked in and I was actually just joking around with you. I feel like I'm like in your brain right now, and I feel like I'm being hugged by you. This is amazing, David. And if you live in the GTA or you're in the architecture space or the design space, you of course know who David Small is. His name is so much bigger than who he is. You might even be sitting in a David Small design. I myself, this is a full circle moment, I was living in the house for 2 years when I realized that it was actually one of your designs.
There you go.
So we would like to welcome David Small to the podcast. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having
coming
us.
over and doing this in my home. It's fantastic.
You're literally the coolest person we've had on our podcast.
Literally.
Yeah. Do you feel like you're pretty cool?
My family says I'm super not cool. So,
That's so funny. Well, we want to go super deep. I know we're sitting in your home and it feels like we're being hugged by you, but that's what we want to jump into. Who David Smalls is, where you come from, what makes you laugh, cry, angry. Do you get angry?
What makes you uncool?
yeah, what makes me uncool? I mean, I was born and raised in Mississauga. So, I've often said, I'm working in the hood. I'm living in the hood. This is my hood. It's pretty cool to grow up and not know what you're going to be when you're a kid, and then to come back and literally design homes all around the city that I grew up. Yeah, it's a pretty surreal thing to do.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So growing up, did you ever think you would be here and as an architect, as a designer, designing these beautiful homes? Or did you have other aspirations? Like, when I was young, I wanted to be an astronaut, but here I am. I'm a real estate agent. So
yeah, I mean, the who we all become, I'm no different than everybody else. It's a culmination of your upbringing, your education, all your experiences. They all add up to being who everybody is at any moment. Yeah. So I'm the same in that way, but my upbringing was kind of in a construction and design environment, really. My father was a custom home builder.
Yeah.
His father was a custom home builder. So if I was cooperative, I'm going to be a custom home builder. So my first jobs as a little kid, I was on the job site sweeping houses. I graduated to moving lumber and digging ditches, the big time when you're a teenager. So I was always surrounded with construction, but single family home construction. That's what our family did. So yeah, you're learning, you're seeing interactions with the trades, with the customers. You're learning all about that, although you don't realize it. You're learning all of those things. I'm learning all about construction, the materials, the sequence of events, things that could go wrong, how you rectify that. Not really realizing that I'm going to go on and design homes, but I was very interested in construction.
How old were you at that point? Were you 7, 8, 9?
Yeah, I mean, my first job sweeping were, I was 9, 10 years old.
Wow.
And then when I finally got a summer job, it was on the job site. And, you learn a work ethic, you learn getting up early, you don't want to disappoint your peers, and you're working hard. And those are all very informative things that I tapped into later in life, the whole work ethic thing.
Can we go a little bit deeper in the work ethic? Because there's a lot of entrepreneurs that struggle with having a very strict schedule, discipline. So what is something you'd recommend for, young entrepreneurs who want to be architects that don't have the family background and would love to, expand more on that and see where their schedule would be, how it should be designed?
Yeah, I mean, I've always put myself into the seat of the client.
Okay.
If I was sitting there, what would I want to hear from me? What would I want my guy to deliver? And we reverse engineer that, and we still do that today. Our business is based on what is the best way to do this? What are the words that you would say? How would you deliver yourself? How hard would you work? So those are the things that really inform my work ethic. Is I want to please the client. Desperately want to please the client. When a client is dissatisfied, it's heart-wrenching to me, to be honest with you. So I would say to a young entrepreneur, be the client, and then reverse engineer that.
You must get so many messages now from clients that are now living in homes, having families. Do you get those DMs, messages, emails all the time?
Yeah, I mean, periodically. We have a big team now, so they don't come directly to me. I'm going to say they come to my team, and my team is awesome to share that with me. Makes my day every time. We have many, many houses in construction everywhere, all over North America, and people are proud. And they've enjoyed the experience, and now they want to share their pride via photographs of construction. So we're unsolicited. We're receiving construction photos all the time. It's an amazing thing. Always makes my day when that happens.
Yeah. Is that a full circle moment when you get those messages and it becomes bigger than the work that you're doing? It becomes bigger than the design. You must have been in your office designing that house architecturally, but then afterwards, the people that are growing up there, the babies that are being born there. How does that make you feel in terms of
there is a lot of irony. I feel all the time. Work ethic is a fantastic thing, but it's a double-edged sword. I've got my head down and I'm working on the next design, and then I'm working on the next design. I'm working on the next design. Meanwhile, 4 designs ago, it's going through a permit process. It's going into construction. That's a long process. They're moving in. They're starting to, and I'm 50 houses downstream working on the next design, and you don't really get a chance to stop and smell the roses. I could. It's just not how I'm wired. I want to keep going. And so we have moments where, and it's really my team that forces this on us. I remember one time we just finished taking on our 1,000th project. And so for context, a lot of people wouldn't really know, okay, so how many do you do in your life? 100,000? No, you do a couple of hundred. That's what it takes to do custom houses. If you really want to pour yourself into it. So to do 1,000 is a huge, huge thing. But I still didn't put much stock in it. I'm, going to put my head down and keep going, and we're going to do 1,001 will be the next one, and off we go. But it was my team that said, no, this is a moment. This is a moment to celebrate. So we did pause to smell the roses. We had a party, and it was all about our fantastic team that I had assembled, our core consultants. We were all there together celebrating this moment together because we had all done this amazing thing together. So occasionally I stop and smell the roses, but to me, that's a toxic thing. You don't want to do too much of that.
Right.
You got to have humility, and you got to have work ethic, and you got to keep going. And if you don't do that, I might as well just stop doing it altogether.
You heard it here. Do not stop and smell the roses.
Don't stop and smell the roses.
Just
it's
sometimes.
a death knell.
Just occasionally.
Could you walk us through what it looked like when you initially started your team, and how it's evolved in order to get the team exactly where it is today, and maybe some of the challenges that you faced along the way?
Yeah, that's really interesting. So I often think back to the formative years of David Small Designs. And, once I finished my education, I was working for an architectural firm for a number of years, always dreaming of maybe having my own company and designing homes for myself. And what form would that take? I couldn't envision this at all. My vision was by myself in my den, in my slippers, designing homes.
Oh my gosh.
That was kind of it.
Yeah.
And then when I finally achieved that, it was a pinch me moment. Is this really happening? I'm really doing this thing that I've been thinking about for all of these years. And I thought that was the beginning and the end, and I was going to be a happy camper. I was just going to do this forever.
Absolutely.
But that work ethic thing and my passion for design, people got interested in me, and all of a sudden I started getting more work than I can handle. And, it's one of those moments where, maybe my business model doesn't work. I can only do so much, and there's so much to do, and I'm so excited to do it all.
Yeah.
I think I need an employee.
Yeah.
So I hired somebody, and then I hired another person, but we were all working from our homes. And then the phone was ringing, and, I didn't have much time to design. I was kind of managing the situation. And, my story isn't different than any other entrepreneur going from zero to a company. I'm just going through those growing pains in sort of an architectural form.
Yeah.
So we decided to, I need somebody to answer the phone. That was a key moment in my along the journey is, well, where would that person be? They're not going to be in my home answering the phone. So I think I need an office.
Yes.
I smashed the model of working in my slippers in my den and
start putting a dress shirt on.
So, at that point, again, very entrepreneurial. My family was, and they're in construction. As we talked about, so getting an office wasn't about renting a T-bar ceiling somewhere. It's about buying some land, designing an office, and building it and seeing it all the way through.
Wow.
And then using that as a portfolio for all the clients that came to potentially hire us. They're in a very specifically crafted environment. And we designed the office to be like a house, to be cozy like a house, to have all of those attributes that our clients were longing for. So that was a big undertaking, going from 0 to 100 miles an hour. I say kind of going up the corporate ladder, 8 steps at a time. So that was a big moment for sure in the development of the company. It was a big financial risk for myself and my family. But one thing that I've always done, and it's worked out, is I bet on me.
Oh, wow.
So I bet on me. I just do whatever work is required to achieve it. And, hey, sometimes that's all-nighters. Sometimes that's what it takes. You do what you have to do as an entrepreneur if you really want to, have your vision come true. So, it's a very long answer to how does it get going, but that's how it got going for me. I know everybody's got their own story. But without a work ethic, you can never do that, for sure.
I want to touch up on a couple things. You said that sometimes you had to do all-nighters. Sometimes you had to work hours that were just never ending. So there wasn't that much balance during certain periods of your life when you were...
That's true. That was always a family issue too. I mean, to be honest with you, and one thing is you're working from home. So if you're working a lot of hours, at least you're home. Yeah. But then when you get an office and you're working a lot of hours, all of a sudden you're not at home working all those hours. And that was a struggle. I always knew that there would be a time when I'm going to get it figured out, have enough staff, kind of spread the work out.
Yeah.
But those things don't happen automatically. That takes time. So, everybody around me had patience as I did my thing, and then we got to a good place.
Yeah.
But it did take a while, I'll have to say.
So with that imbalance, were there days when you would work, and then you would say, hey, wife, children, can we now spend some time together? Would you then make it a priority to make sure that they felt loved by David Small and that your clients weren't the only people that you were loving on?
My family would say I was not good at that, but I did make an effort,
Okay.
of course.
Yeah.
You know, one of the things about me is you say, well, David, what's your favorite hobby? Designing houses. Okay. So when you want to take time off from designing things, I'm thinking about designing things.
Yeah.
There is a huge blend of my professional life and who I am as a person.
Right.
So taking time off from that is almost an impossibility because
Yeah.
I am who I am. So that's been my lifelong challenge for sure, is to find a balance, because when your hobby and your passion is your profession, that's what makes you successful.
Yeah.
But there's the other side of that.
Yeah.
There's the challenge of turning that off.
Yeah.
Now that you've come so far, do you have any other hobbies other than designing homes?
When you're not architecting, what do you
Yeah,
do?
What do you do?
so I would say there's a couple of things that come to mind. I'm an avid cottager,
Okay.
so I was born into cottaging. Since my wife and I built our own cottage on the property next door to where I was kind of brought up in cottage country, and that's an amazing thing. It's about connection to the earth, and it's about
Nature.
family being together. We have twin daughters. They're just about to turn 25. And one of our core goals is to make sure that when they become teenagers and there's many, many other interests, their default is they're going to want to go to the cottage first. Everything comes second. I haven't really seen that among our friends or our peers or
Yeah.
our neighbors, but that was our goal.
Yeah.
So you got to go all in on that. They come up all the time. We have fires. We go camping. We do all
Yeah.
kinds of cottagey things. We're together.
That's really funny.
So I'm going to say that was maybe one of our biggest family successes. Is here they are. They're 25.
And they're still,
Cottage is the first thing.
yeah.
They would always. They couldn't envision their life without putting the cottage first. That's an amazing
Well,
thing.
I'm going to adopt that too. I feel like we should start going to David Small's cottage.
I know.
Comes
Please
first.
invite us.
No, that's really
I
beautiful.
do have a refreshment fridge. And it's fully stocked.
perfect.
So
Yeah.
you're welcome.
I'm not sure what you drink, but I brought
I was gonna
some
say.
gin. Yeah, that's really beautiful.
And I see we're surrounded by a lot of nature right now too, even in this house. Do you think it's important to have a balance of materials used in a home and, some connection to nature when you're building a house and designing it?
Yeah, I mean, that's the core of who I am. And then
Okay.
through sort of natural translation of who our company is, if we have a brand,
Right.
I'm going to say, it is buildings and land coming together. So that means transparency. That means materials, color palettes.
Yeah.
That means inside outside flow. All of these things that are kind of buzzwords or buzz terms people say, but to really deliver that in a powerful way is transformative for all of the interior environments. Cottaging is a big part of that for me. We're living on the bedrock. We're making fires on the beach. You don't get any more real about planet Earth than that. Right. And so that's all my upbringing, and I don't know any other way than to take buildings and land and smash them together in the most powerful possible way.
Yeah.
So again, it's who I am, it's who we are, it's how I think architecture should be. Buildings should be respectful of their site, their neighborhood, the earth.
Yeah.
And the best way to be respectful of that is to make a building that seems as though you watered the ground and it grew. And that's what we always kind of test the end result against the watering the ground and it grew concept. So I'm living in that for sure. You look around and it looks like nature's just swallowing up the house. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Could you walk us through like the design process of this specific house, and if it's something you envisioned for a long time and then it all kind of came together?
Yeah, it's we always knew that we were going to build one more house, our family. We'd been going through our lives like everybody else, and everybody's life changes. You have no kids, you have little kids, you have growing kids, and then you're going to have no kids again. and so there's 4 houses right there.
Yeah.
And we wanted to have a house that is representative of our needs at the time, all the way through. And by the way, that's, in our culture here in Ontario, in the construction industry, if you do it just right, there's a lot of money to be made at doing that too. Yeah. You get to live in a cool environment that is completely aligned with who you are, and you sell it for a profit and do it again. So we've been on that kind of move up process in our homes. But we knew that there was going to be one more. Our kids were finishing university, and that was going to be the end of it. So we were going to do our last house. So in the design of this, we like to call our houses names.
Yeah.
So we call this the last house. It's our last house. And that's terrifying, doing your last house, because there's always next house I'm going to change this. And I've learned a lot doing this. I'm going to rescue it and do it better the next time. Now, this is the last time. Wow. You got to wind up all of your experiences and all of the trial and error moments in your life and put it all into one building, because there's no more houses after the last house. So it was I'm going to say intimidating a little bit to take that on. We didn't know where we wanted to be. We knew we wanted to be associated with nature.
Yeah.
We were kind of envisioning maybe on Lake Ontario, maybe in the middle of a forest somewhere. And we actually lived 8 houses from here. Wow. So this became available. It was a little earlier than we were thinking of doing it, but we were kind of in the mindset of maybe doing our next house, our last house. And when we walked on the property, okay, there's something very unique about this. And the uniqueness of this property, which is I'm hopefully fully exploited by the design of this building, is that it is a heavily forested property, but you can't see it from the road.
No.
You drove here today, you don't even know there's a house here. And it's not that far from the road, but the driveway curves in on the side. It curves just a certain way, so that you really can't see anything. And that moment of discovery is a powerful thing. I mean, you all experienced it today, just driving up our driveway. I drive home every day, and I feel it's a pretty cool, powerful force that I'm feeling. And I haven't even got in the house yet. Yeah. It's amazing. So the siting of the house, the way the trees laid out, it sort of set the table for that.
I actually said, wow, as I pulled around that corner. I actually, when you see those slow motion real estate videos where you're slow, I was doing that in real life. I was like, whoa.
If it didn't have the house number, I wouldn't have known where it was.
Where am I? Did you, when you were thinking of this home, was it something that you would be sleeping and you would wake up and envision it? Or was it because you had designed so many things that you already were seeing it? Or was there subconscious inspiration coming for you?
Yeah, I mean, I want to tell everybody I woke up and I just dreamt it that night and I just rolled it out of my fingertips. But no, I've always been a big believer in that the property informs the design.
I like that.
So yeah, there wasn't a preordained design in my mind. I was just looking for a piece of property to plop it down on. Nothing like that. No custom house is a custom house if that's the way. The property leads the way. And there were so many things about this property that led the design. The idea of living in a glass house is, it's an interesting experience, but you couldn't even entertain that unless you're in a forest. And where are you going to find a forest like that? In the hood, in Mississauga. Well, we found one. It was 8 houses away from where we lived. So we were fortunate to find this. It's fully forested in the front. It wasn't as fully forested in the back. So the first thing that we did is we planted 20 the largest trees that we could plant.
I love that.
To make the back what the front was, and then we could literally put a glass house in the middle of that.
Yeah.
So the idea of a glass house was intriguing, for sure. And from there, the design started to unfurl. The idea of all glass, not just a wall with a lot of windows.
Yeah.
All glass, the entire room, 60 feet of glass on either side of a narrow room.
Yeah.
And let's put ourselves in there and live our lives in there. There's a lot to pull that off, and you can't have any functions that go up against the glass. You can't have a kitchen counter against the glass. You can't have your front entry against the glass. Yeah. So when we got onto the idea of let's do a glass living environment in the forest, a whole bunch of things were already decided. We can't do this here and we can't do that here. This is what we will do here. And that will be a powerful experience. And it became a glass core with appendages. And the appendages did all the heavy lifting. My office, the bedrooms, the kitchen, the laundry, the powder, the entry, the garage were all appendages that did not disrupt from the core vision of a glass area of the house.
I feel like I can breathe
in here,
deeper in this space. I'm a big meditator. You're laughing at that. But I feel like I know you're really busy throughout the day. Even right now, before walking into this podcast, you were working on designs.
I was.
Do you feel like this is a meditative space for you, or do you do anything outside of the design process or your work to get into that calmer space?
Yeah. No, I know what you mean, but to be fair, the things that really get me into a design is what I call our pre-design process. We have a number of things we need to do. And, I'm sure there's a lot of listeners that would want to hear that, this is the Zen moment. This is how I get into the zone. No, the truth be told is design is a teachable thing. It isn't necessarily you're born with it.
I love that.
I firmly believe that you can teach it. And I've undertaken to do that with our team. I mentor all the time, almost to the point where I've created a curriculum and we're going to walk through it. And this is how you do it. And I've been practicing it informally for forever, how you design custom homes. And there is definitely a process to lead up to the point of creation. And that's the acquiring of all the information about the property and the zoning and our clients' hopes and dreams and their inspirational images and their budget and their timeline, and all of those things need to be processed. And then once that's all processed in your mind, you're ready to sit down and begin. And so I always begin a design with a high level of confidence because we've done our homework. And the homework is an underrated but very necessary part of the design process.
Yeah.
Do you ever have any clients that have crazy design ideas that, it's just blown it out of the water?
You want a tree going through the house or something.
I love that when that happens, for sure. We always want to think of ourselves as designers that think outside the box. That's who we are. We're creative people. And then sometimes somebody, sometimes the best houses are the ones that are hijacked in design by the client, takes me on a journey. And then we finish it off and I look back and go, I wouldn't have taken myself there. My clients took me there. It's amazing. So, that's a learning moment for me. Our design vocabulary and our ideology just expanded because of this particular client. So we're very respectful of our clients, and the crazier the dream, the better. I will tell you, the biggest challenge of that, though, is the disconnection to construction budget. And construction prices have gone up so much in the GTA over the last few years coming out of the pandemic. Things have almost doubled. And so, people are, it's exacerbated by social media. You're Instagramming, you're seeing these amazing things and you want that. And so they come with these amazing ideas and a less amazing budget. And how do you combine those things is probably the biggest design challenge that we encounter every single day.
Do you think it affects your design integrity, these high construction costs?
Well, it's a really good question. We try to make sure that we're always delivering the spirit of what the house should be, having an overall concept and staying true to that through the whole design journey. And I would rather our clients compromise on size rather than compromise on all of those other things, because it's all of those other things that's where the magic lives in the house. And if you're taking the magic out, because of budget, you've just got 4 walls and a roof, and you missed the point. Yeah. So can we make it smaller? Can we work with the furniture layout and the flow and openness of spaces to give the sensation of space? Can we have more glass to give the viewpoint isn't the drywall, it's the fence 100 feet away. All of those things change how you perceive a space, and they can be smaller. And that's what's happening a lot in the GTA, where people can't afford the bigger properties. They yield smaller houses, but their dreams never got smaller, just the properties. And the money doesn't go as far anymore. And they've been living their life saving and dreaming and saving and dreaming. And they get to the point where, this is a really unfortunate point in our history where houses cost so much money. And, people don't want their dreams to be crushed because they've been dreaming the dream for a long time. So it's up to us as designers to figure out how to connect those two things. That is definitely our biggest challenge.
I'm sure it's a very emotional journey too for the clients. How do you handle their emotions?
Are you a therapist?
Like us?
Exactly.
At the end of the day, all we can do is explain things as clearly as possible. This is why you can't do that. Here are the rules. Here are the dimensions of your property. Here are the trees we're trying to preserve. Here are the opportunities, though. You want to counterbalance that with, even though you may not be able to do that, there's a bigger fish to fry. If we kind of go about it this way, we'll achieve a greater good. So why don't we pivot and try to do that? There is definitely negotiation. It's emotional. You need your clients to be respecting what you're saying. So you have to be talking in a very respectful way, a very informed and professional way. And if you ever deviate from that, the bond is broken. So you got to stay true to that.
Of course.
Okay, so I was watching a couple videos that you had posted, and you said that your mom was an artist.
Right.
So you don't just consider yourself an architect, but you consider yourself also a designer. And were you what type of things did she draw? Was it more
I've often said that, when you take my mother and my father and you put them together, you're going to get me. That's what you're going to get.
Quite literally.
It just makes sense. Now I've got 3 older sisters.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, which is,
I have 2 older sisters.
That in itself is reason for therapy, but they didn't become me. Only I became me. But but part of me is being on the job site, being the only son, being connected to my father in a powerful way. We're all part of that. But yes, my mother was a graphic artist. My mother was artistic in many ways. She was a musician. She was a singer, quite a critically acclaimed singer. So she had a whole artistic thing about her life that, and again, you don't really realize it's happening, but obviously it was happening to me. It wasn't just DNA, it was a learned environment that I was in, where I was getting the yin and the yang. I was getting the hardcore, move the lumber and dig the ditch, and then the singing and the painting. And I came out of that.
Wow.
Have you ever performed on stage yourself, sang, played a guitar, danced, done some interpretive?
I will tell you, and anybody around me who works with me knows this to be true, is my biggest challenge in this business wasn't designing houses. It wasn't making a business plan. It wasn't billing and collecting. It wasn't working with Revenue Canada. It wasn't hiring staff. It was me. It was my introverted nature. I'm an introverted person. Here I am. I'm talking to you. This is very I'm not saying it's not comfortable. Wow. It's not natural for me to do that.
Absolutely.
And this is a great environment to be in my home and be able to be natural. But that's been my business challenge because, you want to get to a certain place and you realize that the only impediment is me.
Wow.
And you have to kind of dig down and be uncomfortable. I've been uncomfortable a lot of times trying to be the outgoing person that I need to be to move my business forward. So that's been my biggest challenge.
Wow. So what's your advice for entrepreneurs who are constantly in their own way of success?
Yeah. I'm not a business guru at all. I know my business inside out. I don't know about business at large in a big way, but I will say that I've read a lot of books. I observe other businesses, maybe a little bit more than the average person to be able to see the right ways and the wrong ways. But at the end of the day, I just, you try to stay true to who you are as a person and a hardworking, sincere person that means well, for their clients. You want the best for your clients.
Absolutely.
And that informs everything else. Everything falls into place if those are the things that you put forward.
I meet so many people, and when I came in here today, I know you said you're introverted and you try to make yourself be the person that the people need to see, but I feel so calm. My nervous system feels so relaxed here since the moment I walked in. So you're doing something.
Architecture can overcome.
Yeah. We have a couple of questions that we want to ask before we jump into our fun rapid fire.
Oh boy, okay.
And actually asked somebody, hey, what would you want me to ask David Smalls? And this is a question that they came up with. What have you learned that you wish you learned earlier?
I would say, I never envisioned my company and my life today. I couldn't envision it. And not hold back on dreaming a big dream. Ooh. Like dream the biggest dream you can dream, because it can happen. You just apply all of the energy to that, right?
I'm feeling inspired.
I know you are.
I feel like it's been the theme of this chat. Like you said that you were dreaming something and the dream was just to be in your slippers working.
Yeah, and that was my only vision, and I've often said that, I want to climb that mountain and I want to get up there and I'm going to do whatever it takes to get up there. And I got there. And then when I got to the top of the mountain, I realized there were 1,000 mountains out there. It was just at the edge of the Rockies. It wasn't just one hill. Wow. And so, wow, okay. I didn't make it. I'm just getting going. And I always feel that way. And I talk about that, with my team all the time. We're just getting going. And I've been doing this for almost 30 years as a entrepreneur. And I finally think that we know everything we need to know to really get going.
Rebecca, get ready.
She's in the back.
Rebecca's fully aware of how I think about this.
You guys are like, get out. We're getting going. I have another one here.
Okay.
What are some top or key attributes that you believe you need to be successful? Sorry, I said that wrong.
Yeah.
But professionally.
I understand it, and it's a really, really easy answer.
Okay.
It is... I'm going to say it's two things, but they're kind of,
like a sandwich?
two sides of the same coin.
Lean in, everybody. Get your notepads out. Two things.
It is respect and it is humility.
Love it.
Okay.
Respect informs everything. Respect for me, you respect the land, you respect the bylaw, you respect the clients, their budget, their dreams, you respect the design process, you respect everything. Respect. If you truly respect, you're going to be fine. And the other side is humility. And they're very similar. But humility is the idea that you don't know it all. You're never going to know it all. You're just going to acquire as much knowledge as you can, as fast as you can, but you're never going to get there to know it all. And if you think that you do, you're done. Humility and respect. I mean,
it's always like a learning process.
Those inform everything. And if you want to be a successful entrepreneur, humility and respect.
Okay. That's a very different answer than what I expected. Or like discipline, dreaming big, all that, but humility and respect. I'll follow that.
You've achieved a lot of success. You've created a huge name and a reputation for yourself. Do you have any big goals for David Small Designs in the next 5 to 10 years?
Ooh.
Yeah, the short answer is no, but the long answer is yes. It's been an interesting journey to be artistic, to be common sense about it, and be a business entrepreneur at the same time. The idea of architecture and business sometimes are things that fight each other, and in me, it's a very natural kind of cocktail in me. So it is, how do I take what I love to do, and it's a little thing. We're not changing the world, and we're not curing anything. I can do something, a very small thing, but I can do it really well. Wow. And how can I take that and scale that and do it as many times as possible? Yeah. Not just for economic purposes. That's definitely a motivator. I'm an entrepreneur. Yeah. But if I can do what I do, and I see how families are, their lives are changed sometimes by doing what I can do that more and more and more. So the answer to the question is, how do we do more? How do we do more of what we do without me physically doing more? How can we create a platform in our company for really, really doing a lot of homes, but not watered down homes, like really sincerely pouring yourself into it. So for me, that's about mentoring, hiring young people that are motivated. They have to have the right characteristics as a person: respect, humility, work ethic, all of those things. And if you find those people, they're worthy of me pouring my mentoring time into. And I want to create a whole platform of people that think about architecture and think about respect and humility the way I do, and build that to be an amazing delivery system of fantastic homes everywhere around the world. That's amazing. What I really want to do.
That's awesome.
Amazing.
I love it.
I'm like about to cry over here. Do you cry, David?
I do, unfortunately.
Okay, well, that was actually really beautiful. You answered every other question that I had.
Everything.
Well, we want to jump into a fun rapid fire. We're over 30 minutes, by the way. It's just been...
Yeah, it flies by.
But yeah, we asked the same 6 questions to every guest.
Oh boy, okay.
And they're just fun, quick, first thing that pops into your head. So Ian, I'll let you go first.
Yeah, first one. What is your favorite movie or a movie you think everyone should watch?
Easy. Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Oh,
love that movie. I say quotes from Ferris Bueller's Day Off all the time, every day, and I don't even know I'm doing it. Yeah, it's Ferris Bueller.
Nice. Okay, movie night, guys. Okay. What is one book you're reading right now, or a book you believe that everyone should read?
So, my reading is really, it's magazines, it's articles on architecture. But when it comes down to full books, they're business books, for sure. I have this passion for business, and try to get the little nuggets for me. Yeah. Probably the very first business book I ever read was given to me by somebody at the beginning of my entrepreneurial journey.
Faye and I are so excited right now.
Yeah, because we're starting a book club.
I'm like, tell us the book, David.
Tell us your list.
And it's called The E-Myth. The E-Myth. And it's the entrepreneurial myth. And it's what you thought being an entrepreneur was, but what it actually is. And if you really want to be successful, here's how you do it. I read that early on, and everything I read since then was all filtered through that book. Yeah, it changed my life a little bit.
Wow.
Okay, next question. Coffee or tea? Which do you prefer?
Coffee.
Coffee.
Yeah,
it's an easy one for you.
Coffee is a staple of the architectural education process. So, when you're in the studio with all of your comrades and you're working away on designs, they're all-nighters. They're sessions that go forever.
Yeah.
And life centers around the coffee maker. It always has.
That's funny. Yeah. Right before coming here, Faye's like, I'm going to get a coffee.
I did.
Have you ever spilled coffee on your designs? Anything?
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Okay. So that makes you cry.
Now I have to be careful because now we're designing on the iPad and I'll ruin it. So I got to really, have
Keep
those things
away.
separated.
Next one, early bird or night owl?
definitely early bird. I'll get up at the crack of dawn and
Ooh.
I'm fresh and off I go. And I think it used to be the other way around. I don't know if it's the aging process or it's just me, but I can't wait to get up. And
that's exciting.
I'm an avid hockey player, and all of my hockey buddies, we'd be over the years playing and going for a beer, and I got to go home. Why you got to go? Oh, because I can't wait. I can't wait to get to the office, and I run up the stairs 2 steps at a time, get to my drawing board, and I'm ready to go.
Wow.
I
That's
just
amazing.
can't wait. And I've spent a lot of years just so eager to get started. I
love
so I'm
that.
an early bird.
Amazing.
Finish this sentence. Life is.
Oh my God! It sounds like I'm supposed to just know what the answers is.
To you.
Life is a journey for sure.
Wow.
It's a never-ending learning process.
I love that. And last.
So the last question, what's one thing you can't live without?
David Smalls cannot live
Live
without.
without,
I already
yeah.
know. And she's
Except coffee.
it's over here.
Can't live without my family. That's for sure.
that's nice.
They're the reason that I do everything.
Wow.
Yeah, that's nice.
I love that. Well, thank you, David Small. It's been an honor sitting in your home.
It's been great
Chatting
to have
with
here,
you.
for sure.
Sorry for making this go over 30 minutes. I know you have plans that you got to make. There's clients over there waiting for you. But where could people, if people want to learn from you, people want to find you, we're going to link all your websites below. But are you open always to, guiding people if they have questions or anything for you?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So many times over the years, I've had, I've been passionate about helping young people in this industry get a start. For years and years, we've had co-op students and even summer high school students that come and work for us.
Yeah.
And I've had many children of clients come and do a day with me. Talk to me about the industry and maybe they want to get into the industry. So yeah, I really believe in the mentoring process.
Okay. Well, we'll link everything below. If you want to find David Small, you will know how to find him. And thanks, David. It's been a pleasure. I don't want to leave.
I don't want to leave either, but we have to.
Yes. That was an awesome episode. Make sure you subscribe, like, comment. If you have any questions for David, I will make sure that we get those to him. And David, you were the best.
Thank you
last
so
word
much.
or
Thank you.
anything?
Yeah,
Thank you guys.
thank you very
It's been
much.
Very good.
Thank you.
Great. That was a wrap.